Welcome to another video lesson in general mathematics, and in this video lesson we'll talk about the domain and range of rational functions. We begin with defining the domain and range of a rational function. By definition, the domain of a rational function is the set of all real numbers except those that make the denominator zero. Ibig sabihin, ang domain ng rational function ay yung mga values ng x na kung saan hindi magiging zero ang ating denominator. While yung range naman is the set of all values that y or f of x can take. Ibig sabihin, ito naman yung mga values ng y na kung saan define ang ating function. Sa paghahanap natin ng domain ng rational function, ito yung mga suggested steps. First, set denominator to be equal to 0. Second, solve to find the x values that cause the denominator to be equal to 0. And third, the domain is the set of all real numbers except those found in step number 2. So, ibig sabihin, pag tayo ay naghahanap ng domain, ang gagawin lang natin ay i-equate lang natin yung ating denominator sa 0 at isosolve natin yung mga values ng x na magiging dahilan kung bakit magiging 0 ang ating denominator, and then yung mga values na yon ang tinatawag natin na mga restricted values at excluded siya sa ating domain. Sa pagkuha naman ng range ng ating rational function ay wala tayong specific na method para makuha ito. Pero meron tayong mga suggested strategies kung paano natin makukuha ang range ng isang rational function. So first, express the equation in terms of y and find all the values of y that will make the denominator 0. Pangalawang strategy ay pwede natin kuhanin yung inverse ng ating rational function, pero yung inverse na ito ay i-discuss pa natin sa chapter 3. At ang third method naman natin ay pwede natin i-graph yung ating rational function para makita natin yung range ng ating given function. For our first example, find the domain and range of the function f of x is equal to 1 over x. Sa pagkuha natin ng domain ng ating rational function, lagi lang nating tatandaan na yung ating denominator ay i-equate natin sa 0. So with that, magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng x is equal to 0. At ang magiging domain natin dito is the set of all x such that x is not equal to 0. Or pwede rin nating sabihin na set of all x which is an element of our real number such that x is not equal to 0. Sa interval notation naman, pwede natin itong isulat as negative infinity to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. So, ibig sabihin yan, yung 0 dito sa ating notation ng domain ay excluded siya. Para naman sa pagkuha ng ating range, so pwede nating i-express muna yung ating given na function in terms of y. So, ang gagawin lang natin, we will change yung ating f of x to y, and then kokopihin natin yung nasa right side, which is yung 1 over x. And then after nyan, expressing our equation in terms of y, magkakaroon tayo ngayon dito ng x is equal to 1 over y. And from here, kukuhanin natin yung mga values ng y na kung saan magiging 0 ang ating denominator. So, since ang denominator natin dito ay y, so magkakaroon tayo ngayon dito ng y is equal to 0. Ibig sabihin yan, pag sinulat natin yung ating range, that is the set of y such that y is not equal to 0. Or, in interval notation, pwede natin siyang isulat as from negative infinity to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. Now, kung mapapansin niyo, yung ating domain and range dito ay pareho lang. From negative infinity to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. Pero, I would like to emphasize na hindi sa lahat ng cases ay pareho yung ating domain and range na makukuha. Kung titingnan naman natin yung graphical representation ng ating first example, makikita natin dito na yung ating graph ay lumalapit lamang sa ating x and y axis pero hindi ito tumatama dito. Kung mapapansin niyo, meron tayo ditong x-axis which is represented by the equation y is equal to 0. Tapos yung ating namang yung y-axis naman natin is represented by the equation x is equal to 0. So since hindi tumatama yung ating graph dito sa dalawang lines na ito, ibig sabihin yan yung ating domain is the set of all x such that x is not equal to 0 kasi nga hindi siya tumatama sa ating x and y axis. Same with our range, dahil hindi siya tumatama doon sa ating axis, so that is why ang ating magiging range ay set of all y such that y is not equal to 0. For our second example, Find the domain and range of the function g of x is equal to x over x minus 1. So, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, para makuha natin yung domain ng ating function, ang gagawin lang natin ay equate natin yung ating denominator sa 0. So, with that, magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng x minus 1 is equal to 0, and solving for x, we will have here x is equal to 1. So, pag sinulat natin yung ating domain, that is the set of all x such that x is not equal to positive 1. Or in interval notation, pwede natin siyang isulat as the interval from negative infinity to 1 union the interval from positive 1 to positive infinity. Para naman sa ating range, kagaya ng ginawa natin kaya sa una nating example, so ang g of x natin ay papalitan natin ng y, and then kokopyahin natin yung nasa right side, so we will have here y is equal to x over x minus 1. And then multiplying this one, magkakaroon tayo ng y times x minus 1 is equal to x. So, cross-multiply lang natin itong dalawang ito. And then, pagkatapos yan, ay distribute lang natin yung ating y sa loob ng ating grouping symbol. So, we will have here x, y minus y is equal to x. Now, since kailangan natin ma-express yung ating equation in terms of y, so i-group natin yung ating terms na merong x. As a result, we will have here xy minus x. So, inilipat natin yung x dito sa kabilang side. And then, yung y naman ang ating inilipat dito sa right side. As, magiging result natin ngayon ay xy minus x is equal to 1. And then, factor out lang natin yung ating variable x kasi ang target natin ay may iwan yung variable x dito sa left side. So, magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng x times y minus 1 is equal to y. Pagkatapos niyan, i-divide lang natin yung ating equation by y minus 1. Magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng x is equal to y over y minus 1. Now, since na-express na natin yung ating equation in terms of y, ang next natin na gagawin ay kukuhanin natin yung values sa ating denominator. I-equate natin ito by 0, and then we will solve for the value of y. As a result, we have here y minus 1 is equal to 0, and that is y is equal to positive 1. So, yung ating magiging range dito ay ang set ng lahat ng y such that y is not equal to 1, or in interval notation, we have here from negative infinity to 1, union the interval from 1 to positive infinity. So, kagaya uli ng ating first na example kanina, yung ating domain and range ay the same lang tayo na nakuha na restricted na value. So, that is why sa ating interval notation ay the same yung ating makikita. Natin yung ating graph para sa ating second example. So, makikita natin dito na yung ating graph ay lumalapit lamang siya sa dalawang lines na ito. So, this is represented by the equation y is equal to 1. And then yung ating namang second line, this is represented by the equation x is equal to 1. So, kung mapapansin niyo, since hindi siya tumatama doon sa dalawang lines na yon, so that is why ang ating restricted values na nakuha kanina ay yung x equals 1 at saka yung y is equal to 1. So, pag kinuha natin yung ating domain, we have here the set of all x such that x is not equal to 1. And then, same with our range. Ang pinagkaiba lang, y ang ating ginamit dito para sa range. Para naman sa ating third example, let us find the domain and range of the function g of x is equal to x plus 2 over x squared minus 4. So, kagaya lang din ang ginawa natin kanina, i-equate lang natin yung ating denominator with 0. So, we'll have here x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Pagkatapos niyan, since ito ay quadratic, factor out lang natin ito. So, ang magiging factors natin ay x plus 2 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. And then after that, paghihiwalayin lang natin yung dalawang factors natin dito, equate natin sila sa 0. So, we'll have x minus 2 is equal to 0, or we'll have x plus 2 is equal to 0. And then after nyan, solving for x, we have here two values of x. The first one is positive 2 and the second one is negative 2. So, ang magiging domain natin dito is a set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 2 or x is not equal to positive 2. Now, pag sinulat naman natin ito in interval notation, since meron tayong dalawang values ng x dito, so tatlong intervals yung ating makikita. So, we'll have here, the first interval is from negative infinity to negative 2. Union, our second interval, which is from negative 2 to positive infinity. And then union sa ating third na interval, which is from 2 to positive infinity. Para naman sa ating range, so ang una natin gagawin is isi-simplify muna natin yung ating rational function. So makikita natin dito, since ang ating denominator ay x squared minus 4 at meron itong mga factors na x plus 2 times x minus 2. So i-express lang natin siya into its factored form para makita natin yung ating mga common factors. As we can see here, yung x plus 2 ay common, so pwede natin ma-cancel out yan at tatandaan natin yung x plus 2 na yan kasi gagamitin pa natin yan mamaya. Now, pagkatapos niyan, since na-factor out na natin siya, na-cancel out na natin yung x plus 2, ang magiging simplified form natin ngayon ay g of x is equal to 1 over x minus 2. So, saka natin yung gagawin ang process na ginawa natin kanina. We change g of x to y, so we'll have here y is equal to 1 over x minus 2. And then pagkatapos niyan, we do the cross multiplication. So we'll have y times x minus 2 is equal to 1. And then we distribute y dito sa ating grouping symbol. So we'll have here xy minus 2y is equal to 1. Ang target natin ulit ay maiiwan natin yung variable x dito sa left side ng ating equation. So we'll have here xy is equal to 1 plus 2y. So inilipat natin yung minus 2y sa kabilang side. Pagkatapos niyan, ay i-divide lang natin siya by y. We'll have here x is equal to 1 plus 2y over y. And then, same step kanina, we equate our denominator with 0. So as a result, we have here y is equal to 0. So ito yung magiging restricted value natin para sa y. So, kanina ay nagtanggal tayo ng isang value kanina, which is yung x plus 2. So yung value na yun ay gagamitin natin in order to compute yung whole ng ating graph. So, to compute that one, so since meron tayong simplified form kanina na g of x is equal to 1 over x minus 2, at ang tinanggal natin kanina na value ay x plus 2, so ibig sabihin yan, para makompute natin yung whole ng ating graph, gagamitin natin yung value ng x na kinuha natin kanina. So from x plus 2 na tinanggal natin, equate natin ito sa 0. So solving for x, we have here negative 2. Now, yung x equals negative 2 na ito yung gagamitin natin at isa-substitute natin sa ating simplified na radical function, na rational function. So, solving for g of negative 2, ang magiging result natin ngayon, we have 1 over negative 2 minus 2, so that is 1 over negative 4. So, ang magiging coordinate ng ating whole ay yung negative 2 and negative 1, 4. So, ito yung x-coordinate ng ating whole. Ito naman yung ating y-coordinate. So, ibig sabihin lamang neto, pag enough natin yung ating function na g of x equals x plus 2 over x squared minus 4. So, at this particular point, ay undefined yung ating function. So, kaya magkakaroon tayo ng butas doon sa ating graph. So, with that, yung negative 1/4 na ito ay isa sa ating mga restrictions sa ating range. So, pag sinulat natin yung ating range, yung unang value kanina ay 0, tapos ito nakuha natin ngayon na negative 1/4. So, ang magiging range natin ngayon ay set of all y such that y is not equal to negative 1/4 or y is not equal to 0. Now, since dalawa uli yung nakuha nating values ng y dito, so expected yun na meron tayong tatlong intervals na makikita. So that's from negative infinity to negative 1/4 yung ating first na interval, union negative 1/4 to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. So dito sa ating third na example, makikita natin na yung ating domain and range ay magkaiba na sila ng values. Now, kung titingnan natin yung graphical representation ng ating third example, so ito yung kanyang graph. At kung mapapansin natin dito, sa graph natin, meron tayong whole na nakikita dito kasi undefined yung ating graph at this particular point. So, ang magiging domain lang natin, so that is from negative infinity, so galing dito sa left side, hanggang dito kay negative 2. Tapos from negative 2 hanggang dito naman sa positive 2, because we have here a certain imaginary line na kung saan hindi lalapit yung ating, hindi magta-touch yung ating graph. And then, from positive 2 going to positive infinity. So doon natin makikita yung domain ng ating function. At para naman sa range ng ating function, mapapansin natin na hindi naman ito dumaan or hindi naman nag-touch yung ating graph dito sa 0. So para sa range ng ating function, that's from negative infinity going to this particular value of y, which is that is negative 0.25 or yung negative 1/4 na na-compute natin kanina. And then, from that certain value of y hanggang sa 0. Okay? So ito yung pangalawa nating part ng ating pangalawang interval doon sa ating range. So that's from negative 0.25 to 0, tapos from 0 to positive infinity. So that is why yung nakikita nating domain kanina, we have here set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 2 or x is not equal to positive 2. And then yung range naman natin ay yung set of all y such that y is not equal to negative 1/4 or y is not equal to 0. Sa atin namang fourth example, find the domain of the function f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 8x minus 3 over 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. So, i-equate natin ulit yung ating denominator by 0. And then we get the factors of 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. So ito yung kanyang factors. We have 2x minus 1 times x plus 4. And then equating each factor with 0, we'll have 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. And x plus 4 is equal to 0. Then solving for x, ang ating first na value ng x ay 1/2. Ang ating namang second na value ng x ay negative 4. So yung ating domain is the set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 4 or x is not equal to 1/2. So in interval notation, that is from negative infinity to negative 4, union negative 4 to positive 1/2, union positive 1/2 to positive infinity. At kung titingnan natin yung ating graph, ito yung kanyang magiging graph. So ang magiging range nito by just looking at the graph ay set of all real numbers since lahat naman ng values ng y dito ay define yung ating graph. For our fifth example, find the domain and range of the function f of x is equal to x squared minus 3x minus 4 divided by x plus 1. So for our domain, we have here x plus 1 is equal to 0, so that's from our denominator. So solving for x, we have here x is equal to negative 1. Thus, our domain here is the set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 1. Or pag sa interval notation naman, that is from negative infinity to negative 1. And then union negative 1 to positive infinity. Now, for our range, so just like what we did sa previous natin example, we try to factor out our numerator and then see if there are common factors. So, ang factors natin ng sa ating numerator ay x minus 4 over x plus 1 over, x minus 4 times x plus 1 over x plus 1. So, as you can see, common yung x plus 1, so we can cancel out this. Ang matitira na lang sa ating function ay f of x is equal to x minus 4. Now, since may kinancel tayo dito na expression, so ibig sabihin yan, yung ating graph ay meron yung whole. So, computing the whole for our graph, we have here at x equals negative 1. So, since x plus 1 yung ating tinanggal dito, so equating that 1 to 0 and solving for x, we have here x, which is negative 1. So, ang x-coordinate ng ating whole ay negative 1. And then, we substitute this 1 sa ating reduced na rational function. So, we'll have here f of negative 1 is equal to negative 1 minus 4. Thus, f of negative 1 is equal to negative 5. So, yung coordinate niya ng ating whole ay negative 1, negative 5. So, meaning to say, yung negative 5 na na-compute natin dito, okay, ito yung restriction natin sa ating range. So, magiging range natin dito ay set of all y such that y is not equal to negative 5 or sa interval notation natin, that is from negative infinity to negative 5, yun yung negative 5 to positive infinity. Dito sa ating example number 5, So ito yung magiging graph natin. It's actually a line. So para siyang graph ng isang linear equation kasi kung mapapansin natin kanina, ang ating simplified form na lang ay yung f of x is equal to x minus 4. So this part sa ating graph ay meron siyang hole kasi undefined siya for this specific point. So kaya nagkaroon tayo ng hole. Kaya yung range natin, that's from negative infinity going to negative 5 and then negative 5 going to positive infinity. Yung domain naman natin ay from negative infinity going to negative 1 and then from negative 1 going to positive infinity. Ayan. Now, para sa last part ng video lesson na ito, please try to answer this one. So, find the domain and range of the function f of x is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 3 over x squared minus 9. Start. So, magiging domain natin para sa function na ito, we have here set of all x such that x is not equal to negative 3 or x is not equal to positive 3. Yung ating interval notation naman, that's from negative infinity to negative 3, union negative 3 to positive 3, union 3 to positive infinity. At para naman sa ating range, we have set of y such that y is not equal to 2/3 or y is not equal to 1. So for our interval notation, we have negative infinity to 2/3, union 2/3 to 1, union 1 to positive infinity.